Okay, so originally I wasn't going to make this video, but I fell in love with this thumbnail I made in one evening, and I just decided, hey, why not just make a video about indie games? We all remember indie games, right, from the 2010s, like you had your Undertales, your Deltarunes, your Five Nights at Freddy's, and Doki Doki Literature Clubs. I don't know what made these fandoms so special in the first place. It was probably that 2010s charm. But nowadays, it's just kind of dead and just corporate greed. The phrase indie game wasn't really coined around until the early 2010s, when it started with Five Nights at Freddy's. Actually, no, Slender, but who the fuck wants to talk about that? I was one of the biggest Five Nights at Freddy's fans back then in the 2010s. And if I wasn't into Five Nights at Freddy's, I was probably into Undertale. And if I wasn't into that, I was probably into Hello Neighbor or something, I don't know. Oh, fuck. So, Five Nights at Freddy's is by far one of the most iconic things to come from the 2010s, because it was Scott Cawthon's last game before he filed for bankruptcy, and now it's his money-making machine. Fan content around this era was just kind of just booming. Like every single day there would just be a new animation, like fucking Piemations. Yeah, we're fucking talking about Piemations. Piemations, yeah! I want to talk about 5 AM at Freddy's for a teensy-wincy bit, so just prepare for me to bitch about Piemations 5 AM at Freddy's. He made these South Park skits that were based off of Five Nights at Freddy's, going all the way to Five Nights at Freddy's 4, which were pretty funny at the time, until he ended it, which makes sense because he basically pulled a Garrett Williamson and ended at 4, until he returned. Yeah, you're not Garrett Williamson, bitch. My favorite before the Ruined DLC came out was the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 because of the meme potential, and it has 85 million views, being one of the most viewed animations about Five Nights at Freddy's to this date. Besides that one. You know what, now that I think about it, I think the third one was a bit better because the second one was just a tad bit annoying. The third one is a little bit funnier.
Have at thee! Ah, my fucking knees!
Get crowbarred, bitch!
And the other one, Ruined, I love it so much.
Wait, I recognize that voice. You're Cassie.
Yeah!
The girl with no friends.
Well, you're my friend, right?
Uh-huh.
Wait, we're talking about the 2010s, not 2020s. Shit. What did we talk about? Five Nights at Freddy's the musical.
We live in harmony on the flip side of real life.
Or, so I don't want to mention him for too long because we all know him as the story of Undertale guy. But his Five Nights at Freddy's musical parodies are not ideal. He will never be fucking 50 Cent. Of course, this isn't the only FNAF musical stuff, but this one inherently sticks out to me because of the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 musical. A little trigger warning for the R word if you know what I'm talking about. I don't know. How do you do this YouTube thing?
This attraction is great. So many guys I can rape till I can't see straight. When can I stop?
This is when you know you've been doing this shit for way too long. You know what? No, fuck it. I'm gonna make my own musical. I guarantee it's gonna be better than this shit. Okay, now that I'm thinking about it, the way he used autotune was a little too much for my liking. And, well, yeah, this shit slapped when I was a child, but now looking at it, this shit sucks compared to what's out there now. Why would you ever want to listen to this when you could listen to The Living Tombstone instead? Or JT Music that actually makes good rap songs about Five Nights at Freddy's? And I would say DA Games, but we'll get to that later. Okay, I kind of want to quickly mention this while doing research for this video. When doing research, I watched the FNAF World Musical by Lou Higney. And for some reason, they gave Nightmare Adventure Foxy his own guitar solo where he just raps for some reason. It is like the funniest thing ever.
Oh, this game is colorful. It's easy on your head. Unlike the old ones, give you nightmares in your bed. But take this hook, slap you on your belly, slap you on a suit, and turn you into jelly. Oh!
You know what, fuck it, it's better than Ice Cube, it's better than Eminem, it's better than 50 Cent, bro. Alright, let's get back to the animation. Diggity Demon, of course we know that guy. Fucking Luigi's Day Out and shit. I want to mention how Diggity Demon for a bit, not because of the MLP series, somebody else can fucking cover that, but his Five Nights at Freddy's animation is generally one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It's kind of literally just beyond parody, actually. Well, okay, I'm lying. It's not the craziest parody in the world. There's other crazier ones out there. But yes, I watched the most watched segment. Okay, I have one secret to tell y'all. I did not care about the FNAF Tony Cryright animations.
What?
And the reason why I don't like it is because it just feels so fanficky. It just feels like a fanfic that was turned into animation. And it kind of shows because for some reason Mangle is shipped with Foxy because they're both foxes, which, yeah, that totally makes sense. Like, the arc begins with fucking Chica killing Mangle. And then Bonnie and Chica plan to rebuild Mangle, and fucking Springtrap comes in and just announces that he wants to marry Mangle to bring Fredbear back? What? What are you talking about? The level of fanfiction in each and every single one of these episodes is just genuinely unbearing. I don't know how that season 2 is gonna go, but it won't definitely be updated as much as season 1, I'll tell you that. I never really liked it, the fact that a lot of people were even shipping these two in the first place. I didn't even like the concept shipping in the first place in this fucking fandom, so them just putting this in a story just made it all the more stupid. No, this isn't really Tony Cryright's fault. All he just did was make an animation, but I feel like he sparked a lot of fans to ship Mangle and Foxy and make their own fan fictions, especially 13-year-old boys. Just a quick small question. Does anybody remember this? Like, please tell me, does anybody remember this?
Hey, hi again. Bonnie, what were you thinking? What? What are you talking about?
This is for the people who think I'm clickbaiting. No, I'm actually covering this. No, this is actually in the video. Five Nights in Anime was created by Marisu, right? It's just an anime aesthetic fan game about Five Nights at Freddy's. But, like, there's a problem. You know in the canonical Five Nights at Freddy's canon lore thing that Bat keeps covering for some reason? Yeah, those are kids inside those suits. I don't know why they're sexualizing each character like this. He went to say on record that children don't exist in the reality of that universe or whatever, which, even if they don't, that's still weird. It's based off of murdered children in those suits. I don't have proof of this if he did say it on record, so if somebody has a screenshot or anything like that of him saying that, can, like, you give me that, please? Because I've been doing research for a long time, and I don't really see a screenshot of him saying that. But if he did, it's still weird nonetheless. The only thing I can really necessarily say about his art is it's pretty good. That's all I have to say. Okay, I'm not gonna fucking get into it or anything like that.
Senpai.
What the fuck am I doing?
Is this funny? Am I funny yet?
Go to the dentist and fix your teeth.
Oh boy, Freddy's gone Super Saiyan.
Undertale was one of those games you cannot escape from in the 2010s. It was either FNAF, Undertale, Baldi's Basics, or Bendy the Ink Machine, or Tattletale, if anybody remembers that. This could be me, but most of the Undertale fans were way more annoying than the FNAF fans ever was because of how impressionable the audience was for that game series. Now, don't get me wrong, majority of these game series always had a fan base that was on the younger side, including me, but like, I wasn't that into Undertale. If you saw the shit that was happening during this community when it was forming up, it was just insane. I will never forget Senior Pella's animations. I genuinely didn't watch most of his Underpants series is because this shit's fucking longer than Endgame, first of all. And second of all, yet again, I wasn't that much into Undertale, but my old best friend was. Man, it was fucking great. We used to watch the same goddamn video every single day. I remember when mostly AUs were like a thing in this community, and they still are. Like, people just swapping the character's personality that just basically is the same character but with like a different character. I don't know how that works. There was like loads of AUs. I can't really mention them here because I forgot all of them. But it's like, it's kind of stupid because the character is going to act the same nonetheless, The only one that seems different, in my opinion, is like when Papyrus and Sans turn evil. I think it's Underhell or something like that. Yeah, I really don't see the point. There was also comic dubs.
Damn it.
What the fuck do I even say to this? Okay, look, I get people want to have their own fan fictions about the character and interpretations, but I either see Frisk as this or this. I don't really vision a child being this sexualized. But hey, there can only be one thing to solve this. Am I right, lads, or am I right, lads?
You all right, lad? I know I'm right, lad. So you want to go get tacos? No, Brandon, I don't. So why don't you just go fuck yourself?
So Undertale memes are kind of the equivalent of Reddit memes by just putting PNGs everywhere on screen. I could do this too. What, you're special because you could put a PNG on screen and make it move? I can do that. Some of these don't make any sense at all with the characters on screen. They just kind of pray and hope that it just works and to get 1 million views. Look, 2016 was a weird time. You either wanted to be the next Thomas Sanders or the next person to go viral on YouTube in a matter of literally minutes. Now, of course, I can't really mention Undertale without its godly, heavenly music. Shit is so beautiful. You're going to hear it inside my videos like 50 fucking times. It's so beautiful. And Deltarune 2 also has some pretty good music. Oh, fuck, I forgot to mention Deltarune. So, Deltarune was kind of like a second predecessor to Undertale that came out in 2018. So, yes, it is still part of the 2010s. There isn't really much about Deltarune than there is Undertale. It is because it was just made in the late 2010s. People really cared about more about Undertale than Deltarune because it was just kind of a weird sequel that came out. Like, there's only 2 chapters available. I mean, currently at the time of recording, there is more chapters coming in like 2 days from now. But like, you know, limited content isn't a good idea for your game if you're gonna have a fandom. Deltarune is kind of its own thing separate from Undertale, but it's like a separate universe inside the Undertale franchise, if you could even call it a franchise, because there's only just 2 games. You know, I couldn't mention Smash Bits in the realistic Undertale series, or the flirting route for some reason, or how it could turn into a completely different show. But some white guy already did it, so... Am I right, lads, or am I right, lads?
You all right, lad? I know I'm right.
The joke is so old now. Just stop.
Before we move on, I just want to say Versus Susie fucking slaps. It's like the first song on my music playlist. It's so good.
Once upon a time, in a magical land called Inkwell Isle, there were these 2 fucking cup boy people playing with themselves with each other.
Cuphead fascinates me a lot is because they have their own show. Where have you ever seen an indie game get their own show? I said indie game. And no, the FNAF movie doesn't count. Yeah, you're gonna eventually notice I like run out of stuff to talk about because each fandom is not really that big and doesn't have that much fan content unlike FNAF and Undertale. But I think I can make this work. The only good things are music and parodies. You know what? To redeem my vision of Smash Bits from earlier, why not just mention him right now? So while doing research, I forgot Smash Bits made like 3 parody animations about Cuphead, and I have to say it's one of the best parodies they've released so far since Undertale, because the parodies are just very faithful to the game, but like it kind of just makes a 180 by the narrator and Cuphead acting like a complete fucking asshole to Mugman for some reason.
Do you get off to torturing me or something?
I don't know. Put on a skirt and we'll see what happens. I'm just kidding. What you're wearing now works.
It was fucking great. The parodies kind of just become self-aware that it's a parody in a game at the exact same time, while Mugman and Cuphead break the fourth wall, constantly talking to the narrator and how they have to fire the editors and the animation budget just being shitty for some reason. I think it was just an excuse not to animate at all. You know what? He probably wasn't joking. Look at this motherfucker. Who do you think you are? You think you're Mr. Krabs? The third one kind of just ends prematurely. Like, it's just one of my favorite ones out of the 3 animations they made, because it kind of ends weirdly. Like, in a way it kind of is game accurate, but it just like it constantly breaks the fourth wall. He fucking killed the narrator. Are you kidding me? Of course, I can't mention Cuphead without mentioning JT's Music's rap. And to be honest, it's actually pretty good for some reason. Like, for some reason, they start talking about kicking Walt Disney's ass. Like, the man is already dead. How much salt can you add to the wound? You know, if we're gonna mention music and animation, we might as well include Random Encounters. So one day, Random Encounters released a Cuphead the Musical video, which isn't entirely a bad idea, but the execution was so bad. So what they decided to do is draw the animation frame by frame and digitally color it. Not even the fucking Cuphead show did this, but it's kind of really weird how they wanted to take the same routes, even though they actually haven't done any animation before prior, but they decide to make it. And it had a lot of backlash, rightfully, because the animation just kind of looked very ugly. I'm kind of glad that Reanimated collab exists that was hosted by Random Encounters. It kind of redeemed it, but to be honest, it isn't really that bad. It's just like, I don't know why they thought it was a good idea to digitally color everything and go frame by frame. But that's probably just me. Look, the musical was pretty good. The animation was just hideous. Okay, little editor note. I forgot to include this in the video. But there's a copy of Cuphead called Enchanted Portals that has really bad reviews online. Like, it's a complete ripoff. And there was a Kickstarter for it, right? It completely failed, rightfully so, because it's just a Cuphead ripoff. And the complete game is literally a copy. The animation, the music, even downright to the kind of some of the boss fights, it kind of sucks. It is a Cuphead clone, and you could tell because literally the whole premise is shooting things as you go along. Not like Mega Man, like Cuphead style. Everything is kind of a copycat in that game. I needed to mention this because, I mean, it isn't really fan content, but like, damn, they fucking ripped them off.
If I sacrifice you, my body will be back to normal again. I don't like being black.
That's racist.
That's not what I meant. I meant like the ink, because it's black and I don't like...
Bendy in the cum machine. Okay, is it just me, or I thought that originally Bendy in the ink machine was just kind of an industry plant that was planned to go viral? Now, that's not me discrediting the people who actually worked on the game and actually took time. The game is still pretty good. But the thing is, it came out in a time where indie games were mostly kind of just unknown and still known at the same exact time, and you can get pretty much $1 million if you just release your own game without a company. I mean, the original people who made a Bendy the Ink Machine turned into a company called Kindly Beast, but that's besides the point. So look at this. This is merchandise. We have a lot of money now. Sell figurines, sell plushes, whatever sells the kids. As I go down, there's just not that much fan content whatsoever. The only thing that kind of sticks out to me is just Smash Bits.
Oh, nice. More bacon soup. Seriously, they're so out of date. They're basically poisoned at this point. That was a strange noise. They're fine. Oh, let's go.
Literally, these parodies are based off the first 2 chapters of Bendy the Ink Machine, and it's just kind of boring. Like, the only good thing about it is just the jokes, and then that's it.
If I sacrifice you, my body will be back to normal again. I don't like being black.
It's literally just the main character talking to himself. His ghost self, actually. I don't think that's even in the game. To be honest, Bendy in the Ink Machine wasn't that memorable as an indie game. They released a second game and a third one. I didn't even know they released a second one until like last year. And that came out in 2022. Because after chapter 5, the fandom kind of died down. There wasn't even that much fan content to begin with, so it already dying after chapter 5 just kind of nailed it in the coffin. I mean, the music is okay, I guess. In the DA Games music video, it looks like Bendy has just fucking arthritis in every single ballpoint of his goddamn body. I don't like it. And I guess Fanjoid's cover is a bit better, but it kind of doesn't add anything, and it's just very boring. Can you even call this a cover? All he's just doing is just putting this in an audio synthesizer.
Welcome to our meeting. Are you into reading? No need for being coy. We'll improve your uptake. Have a freaking cupcake. And must you bring a boy?
Doki Doki Literature Club was just literally indie horror for girls. Okay, that's not entirely true. There's a lot of dark stuff inside the game that, I can't show. I never really liked it, Doki Doki Literature Club, up until recently. It was because I found a new appreciation with the fandom. Like, It's just a newfound appreciation. But for whatever reason, there's a lot of fan content that's lacking for Doki Doki Literature Club. The only thing is this fan animations that are done by other people for YouTubers that literally play the game and are just reanimating it. Look, it's either Markiplier or Jacksepticeye. Pick your pick. I don't know about y'all, but I'm going with Jacksepticeye.
Feed you sweet chocolates, you.
Yuri's eyes meet mine. I take the chocolate and place it in her mouth. I feel her hot breath on my fingers.
You know, I wasn't really into much of gameplays back then, but this just shows me otherwise. Random encounters, yes, yet again, we're going back to random encounters. So, they made one musical. By far one of the best musicals ever.
Just say Yuri, just say Yuri, just say Yuri, just say Yuri, just say Yuri.
Okay, I need to stop playing their music before I get copyright claimed. I just want to give kudos to people who actually think Sayuri is better than Monica. And that's kind of the end of this video. I'm sorry if it was very shitty or kind of cut short in between each section, is because there isn't a lot of fan content to work with. But I'm finally done with this video. I can finally get to editing. There's a lot of stuff in these fandoms that I had to do a lot of research for. Cuphead being the funniest ones with the Smash Bit animations and the Bendy and Nick Machine ones. I couldn't really find a way to add Hello Neighbor at Baldi's Basics, so there is a false advertisement on the thumbnail. Sorry. But all I really have to say to conclude this video is
this funny? Am I funny yet?
Go to the dentist and fix your teeth.
Oh boy, Freddy's gone Super Saiyan.
Welcome to our meeting.